So welcome to our yoga and meditation class on Tuesday afternoon. We're going to be doing mostly somatic movement yoga, but we may need our props. So if you want to bring a blanket or two, a bolster, blocks, anything that you think might be helpful to you as we move into the practice. We'll be doing most of our practice on the mat, low down. And we'll start by making sure we've got all our props, and then we'll come on down. I like to put a blanket on top of my mat. You don't need to, but it's just kind of gives me a little bit of a cozy feeling. So we'll start by bringing ourselves all the way down onto the mat. So coming on down, lying on your back, coming right into Shavasana, coming right into this relaxation posture. And you can close the eyes or hold a soft gaze. And begin to feel the experience of the body on the floor. So noticing contact between the back body and the mat or blanket underneath you. You could scan the back body from the head down to the heels and notice, where is the body touching the ground? Coming down the arms as well. Hips, legs. And then feel into the front of the body. Notice that this side of our bodies is open to the air. Maybe you can feel contact of your clothes. Maybe you notice just a little bit of pressure. You can feel the temperature of the air, maybe even the quality. And then bringing awareness into the breath. Noticing what's happening with the breath this afternoon. Beginning to land. Coming all the way in, all the way down into this moment, this body, this breath. We're not trying to do anything with the breath yet. We're not trying to change anything in this initial scan. Just noticing, a check-in, where are things at? We could scan the body again now that we've kind of checked in with the breath. Starting at the crown of the head, and just let the awareness move down through the body, noticing whatever you notice, different sensations, amount of sensation, pleasant or unpleasant. Move down through the head and neck, into the shoulders, arms, hands. Feeling into the torso from the upper back and the chest, down through the ribs, the mid-back, belly, low belly and low back. Feeling into the hips, you notice, scan down through buttocks, into the legs and feet. And sensing into the whole body. Notice sensation in the whole body as one piece. Coming back to the breath for a moment, just noticing. Does it seem the same as it was in the beginning, or has anything shifted? Just noticing. We'll check in with the emotional body. So feeling in to that visceral core. Noticing inside the pelvis, the belly, heart and throat centers. What might be bubbling up here? Making room for whatever's happening. Maybe lots of sensation, maybe a little, maybe not much, maybe kind of numb, and that's okay too. Another round of breath, feeling into the breath. And then checking in with the mental body. Noticing what's happening in the mind in this moment. So body, heart, mind, and the breath that weaves through it all. Noticing that who we are contains all of these things. It doesn't we're not one of these things, not just one. And then there's something else as well. There's more to it. There's this one who is noticing the body, heart, the mind, the breath. This awareness who feels and sees and listens. Just a moment of breath with this whole being. And then let's bring the hands to the ribs, the belly. Just feel into the breath. We're going to begin to deepen the breath, really engaging that energy body. On the next exhale, draw the belly button in. Maybe sense that the pelvic floor draws toward the crown. Maybe a little drawing in and up, squeezing out the last bits of air. And then relaxing that and letting the breath fill the belly, ribs, and chest all the way to the top until it spills back out again. And again, engaging those two locks, the pelvic floor and just below the belly button, actually. The hara, drawing up and in, a squeeze. And releasing again, filling up front, back, and side bodies three-dimensionally all the way to the top of the inhale. So a couple more rounds of breath in this way. Activating the breath body, the prana, the energy body. Clearing space, making room, and energizing in preparation for our physical practice. And then letting that go, any effort around the breath, letting that go. And bringing to mind an intention for your practice today. Let yourself settle. Maybe settling into the heart or settling into the belly. Get a sense of drawing back into your core. See if there is some light wish or hope, some intention, like a seed that we can plant today. And let's establish those intentions with one cleansing breath, swallowing to the back of the throat. We'll inhale through the nose and exhale with a sigh, inhaling together. And then releasing the hands alongside the body, feeling into the legs, maybe drawing the legs a little closer into each other, sensing that they're kind of reaching down through the hips, about hip width apart. And we're going to engage that left leg, so flexing the left ankle, and then we're going to begin to slowly bend the right knee, drag the right baby toe, reaching arms overhead. We'll wrap that right wrist with the left hand as we come into open tree, flexing the ankles, opening that right hip out to the side, the knee is out to the side. Yawning into this opening stretch, breathing into front, back, side bodies. On the exhale, feel yourself just melting into the floor. Having a sense as we move into this fascial flow that we're connected with that soft tissue that wraps around, kind of like it's like netting almost that holds muscles and creates a little more structure, but it tends to harden up, crystallize. So we're kind of connecting in with a fluid sense here. On that note, we'll let the arms come out to the T as the leg begins, that right knee begins to arc over the hips, drawing that right leg across the body over into our twist. Maybe the right toes or ball of the foot reach the floor. Maybe you feel that right shoulder blade lifting and just re-rooting it, kind of letting it sink into the floor again. Breathing into the stretch, the right hip, the back body. Here we're going to bend the right elbow, fingertips point toward the ceiling, and then lifting through the elbow, arm in one whole piece, we're going to arc it over the body, slowly rolling us onto the left side. Coming into a half fetal position here. Getting a sense that right lung is wrapping around the heart, kind of snuggling in, heart being hugged by the lungs. And we're going to let that elbow lead, unwrapping. Right elbow draws back over, back onto our shoulder blades, reaching right fingertips away. As you reach those right fingertips away, sense into that right lung, pulling away from the midline, creating space here. Feeling planted in that right shoulder blade. And then we're going to begin to lengthen through the right leg. So maybe flexing the ankle, sending the sole of the foot toward the side wall, and then pointing the toes and beginning to slowly arc. Draw those right toes down toward the left foot, and that rolls you onto your left side. Right fingertips have been arcing up overhead so that the right upper arm comes behind the ear. Leg and arm in a long diagonal. Yawning, toes and fingers away from each other. As you inhale, and on the exhale, just letting yourself melt a little more into the stretch. Again, connecting with this sort of fluid nature of the body. Imagining the fascia kind of melting. And then we're going to bend that right knee and slowly begin to roll back onto the shoulder blades, coming into our twist again. Back to the twist. Take a breath here. Sink down through that right shoulder blade again, reaching fingertips away. Inhale. And on the exhale, draw the belly button in as we begin to roll all the way onto the sacrum. The knee comes over the hips, and then we'll reach the arms. Hands come around the knee or behind the thigh. We gently draw that right knee in toward the chest, melting through the hip flexor on this side. Softening shoulders, jaw, forehead. Each breath like a massage for the digestive system. The inhale kind of pressing into the belly presses into the thigh. The exhale, you just gently draw that thigh in toward the chest a little more, toward the belly. And then from here, we're going to flex that right ankle again, reach the sole of the foot toward the ceiling, lengthening out through the back of that right thigh. Let the knee stay as bent as need be to protect that thigh. And then gently, just a little gentle rock, maybe an inch or two toward the midline, inch or two to the right. Find your gentle rock here. And then we're going to bend the knee, draw it back into the chest, and slowly come right back out into open tree. Flexing the ankles, reaching arms overhead, left hand wraps the right wrist again. Here we could do a gentle rock of that right hip. Knee maybe coming down toward the toes, an inch or two, and then coming up toward the armpit, maybe an inch or two. Find a rock that works for you here. I didn't say this on this side, but remembering that you can use your props in any way to support you, maybe something under the knee or the thigh if that would feel better. And then we're going to drop the toe down to the floor and gently drag that baby toe down as the arms come back down alongside the body, coming back into Shavasana. And taking a moment here to feel into the whole right side of the body. Notice sensation in the right side of the body. Notice the difference between the left and the right. We'll come right into the left side. So engaging the right leg, maybe flex that right foot to plant it, get a sense of it really planting. And then you could soften that ankle. And we're going to flex the right foot, bend the left foot, bend the left knee, and begin to drag the toe up, reaching, yawning arms overhead, wrapping right hand around the left wrist, open tree on the left side. Feeling it like an ever-extending, yawning stretch. Taking out the slack. Breathing life into the stretch, melting into the exhale. And as you're ready, we'll begin to draw that knee across the body as the arms come out to a T. Slowly arcing left leg over the body. Slowly coming onto the right side, right hip, as the toe touches down, and then noticing, did the shoulder blade, the left shoulder blade, come off the floor? And if so, just drawing it back, even if it means the toe comes off the floor. Sinking shoulder blade, rooting. Breathing into that left hip, letting the weight of the leg draw you into the stretch. And from here, we're going to bend the left elbow, fingertips point toward the ceiling. And then we'll lift the elbow. The whole arm as one piece arcs over the body, over the shoulders, drawing you all the way onto the right side, coming into this gentle fetal position here. Sense that the left lung wraps around the heart. Heart receiving a hug from the lungs. Feeling into you. What does it feel like to be in this body? Begin to unwrap, let that left elbow lift, arc back, unwrapping. Let that left shoulder blade touch down and then lengthening fingertips away from the midline, drawing that lung, creating space for the heart. And then continue your roll all the way onto the sacrum. Knee comes over the hips as the hands wrap around the knee or come behind the thigh. Finding what works, softening the shoulders. Shoulders soften, jaw softens. Left hip melting, maybe bringing a gentle rock. I just remembered I forgot a piece. So from here, we're going to bring the arms out to a T again. And we're going to slowly roll back to our twist. I bet you all noticed this, right? Planting down through that left shoulder blade. We're going to activate the left leg. So flex the left foot and reach the sole of the foot toward the side wall. Point the toes. If that doesn't feel comfortable, you can always skip that part and you could go right into pointing the toes at a diagonal and then beginning to draw the toes, arcing toward the other foot as the arm reaches overhead, landing in a diagonal. So the left bicep comes behind the left ear, toes a few inches in front of the right foot. And a long, luxurious lengthening out of that left side. That's a lot of L's. La la la. Lengthening out. Taking out the slack. Each exhale melting the body into the floor. Each inhale lengthening. And as you're ready, beginning to bend that left knee, drawing the foot up a bit as you roll onto the shoulder blades again. Reaching left fingertip away. And then we'll continue the roll onto our sacrum. Once again, drawing the knee into the chest. Settling into the left hip flexor. Melting, melting. You could bring a rock here. Softening shoulders. Soften the neck and the jaw. And then we're going to engage that right leg, maybe flexing the right foot to really plant it on the floor. Flex the left sole of the foot and reach it up toward the ceiling. So let the knee again be as bent as need be to protect that hamstring. Just going for a gentle stretch here. And if you like it, you could let the leg rock side to side a couple inches in either direction. A sense of like a stalk of seaweed, floating, swaying, warm water. Maybe cool water would feel good in this heat. And then once again, we'll draw the knee into the chest. Breathe the belly into the thigh. And then releasing that left knee off to the side, stretching arms, yawn overhead. Right hand wraps the left wrist, sole of the right foot, and the left palm reach away from each other, yawning back into open tree. Maybe a gentle rock in the left hip. And then we'll touch down with the pinky toe. Draw the leg long as the arms come back alongside the body. Taking 2 or 3 rounds of breath here to feel into that left side. Feel into the whole body. Notice contact with the floor. Notice how the body is aligned. More. And then from here, we're going to bend the knees one by one and plant the feet on the floor. So coming into our bridge prep, feel the feet really planted on the floor. And then we're going to just gently press into the floor with the feet as we rock the hips back, so as though the pelvis were tipping water into the belly button. And then we'll inhale through center and all the way through to the arch, so we'll tip the water toward the feet. Exhale through center. As you tip the hips back, maybe you sense the rib cage really planting on the floor, sinking into the floor. Coming back through center. So a couple more rounds like this, a couple more waves. Feeling along the whole length of the sacrum and back of the hip. And then finding center, we're gonna do a tip to the left and the right. So kind of imagining that we're actually gonna let the knees come, but we'll start the movement with the hips. The knees can come along, but just gently rocking to the left side. So knees maybe move a couple of inches. And then we'll rock back through center, feel all the way through the center, sacrum, and then rocking to the right. So not a big movement here, just gently kind of exploring the back of the pelvis, the sacrum. And then coming back to center. See if we can imagine that the back of the pelvis is like a clock. So we're going to tip the pelvis back to 12 o'clock, and that'll be like sending the pelvis, water in the pelvis toward the belly button. So tipping the pelvis back to 12 o'clock. And then we're just going to come around the face of the clock. Doesn't matter which direction you go, 9 o'clock or 3 o'clock. And then rolling all the way down to the tailbone in 6 o'clock. And then rolling to the other side, the clock face. Coming all the way up, back to 12 o'clock. And then we'll move in the other direction, whichever direction you went in. The key is going slow, breathing, feeling into every moment on the clock face, and softening anything that has tensed up in this exploration. And then coming back to center. Feel yourself in neutral. And then we're going to yawn the arms overhead, reaching fingertips toward the back wall. And then we're going to slowly tip the pelvis toward the belly button. So feel the ribs planting into the floor. From here, draw the belly button in, and we're going to lift the hips. Inhale, lifting long, reaching fingertips back behind you, coming into bridge pose. And on the exhale, we're going to slowly lower one vertebra at a time. Pausing when you get to the bottom of the heart, just below the heart, rib cage ends. And then take a pause here and bend the elbows coming into cactus or goddess. Full breath here. Inhale. And on the exhale, continue to roll through the spine. Drop in one vertebra at a time. Feel the small of the back, lumbar spine, down through the sacrum and the tailbone. And let yourself come into that arch. So drop through the tailbone, lift the ribs as the arms come straight back behind. Inhale. Exhale, press into the feet, lift the hips all the way back up into bridge. Inhale, pressing into the floor, lengthening through the arms. Exhale, we're going to slowly drop those pearls one by one. Letting the spine slowly roll until you come to the kind of bottom of the heart, ribs, lower part of the ribs, and then we'll bend the elbows coming into goddess. Complete complete full breath here. Inhale. Exhale, slowly continuing to roll the spine down. All the way down to the tailbone. So we'll do one more round at your own pace. We're gonna press into the floor, lift into bridge, reaching fingertips away, and then go at your own pace. You can stop anywhere along the line. You might pause in different places. Bringing breath into the spine as you slowly lower, investigating this movement. And when your spine is all the way down on the floor, let's bring both knees in and give a little squeeze. And maybe a little rock back and forth. And then we're going to roll all the way onto your side, doesn't matter which one, and slowly begin to make your way. Take your time here. We've been down quite a while. Coming up, and we're going to make our way all the way onto our bellies. I think I'm going to face front for this one. Coming all the way down onto our bellies, planting our hands one on top of the other. Let the forehead comes to the hands. Let the toes lengthen out toward the back wall or side wall. Big toes come together. Heels fall apart, fall to the outsides. Breathing into crocodile. Sense into the belly. Feel the belly softening into the floor. And from here, let's bring our, how are we going to do this? Actually, no, let's stay right where we are. We're going to send the toes back again. And then from here, see if you can root your pelvic triangle into the floor a little bit to really stabilize there, and then bend the knees so the soles of the feet are facing the ceiling, but you can have soft ankles here. So let your head just barely graze the hands. So you could be even lifted a ½ inch or something like that. And then we're gonna bring the gaze over to the left as the legs drop off to the right. Inhale, come back to center. Gaze come center, legs, feet come center. Exhale, feet drop off to the left, gaze comes to the right. Continue in this kind of like a wash rag, a slow wash rag movement. Taking your time, sensing into a spine that gets wrung out and filled. Noticing sensation in the hips, shoulders, and neck. Softening anywhere that might be tensing up. And the next time you come through center, let the forehead fully rest on the hands, and we're going to come into a circle. So dropping the legs off to the right, and then slowly lengthening the legs out so toes are pointing toward the side wall, and then rolling to the left and coming up. So finding that circular motion for a couple more rounds before switching directions. Take your time. Maybe noticing any areas that kind of call to you to kind of stop, pause, rock a little bit. Breathing into different areas that might feel a little more rusty. Don't forget to switch directions if you haven't yet. And then release the feet onto the floor. And we're going to bring the arms out now to kind of a cactus a little bit. So the palms are facing down, fingers spread out, and the thumbs are maybe pointing toward the eyes or the ears or something like that. You can adjust in a way that will feel good to you. And then we're going to press into that pelvic triangle again, kind of really anchoring through the legs as we lift. Not a whole lot of pressure on the arms, just lifting the heart. And exhale, lower forehead comes back to the floor. So we'll do that a couple rounds. Inhaling, lifting the heart. Exhale, releasing the heart back down. One more time. Laying the heart down like it's a baby, laying it into its cradle. And then from here, we're going to press into you could turn your gaze toward that left hand, press into the left hand to kind of lift the left side of the torso. So the left lung, chest lifts. And then we're going to roll back through center, rolling through the heart. Let that left elbow come to rest, press into the right hand. As you roll away, gaze comes to the right, lifting the right lung. Again, rolling through the heart. So we're going side to side slowly. Lift left lung. Breathing into that lung. Exhale, rolling through the heart, setting the lung down. And then lifting right lung. Lifting the heart. So a couple more rounds here. And then finding stillness at center. We'll do one more round of straight up. So pressing into the floor, lifting the heart. Exhale. Gently setting that heart down, laying it down gently. And from here, we'll bring the hands lower, maybe under the shoulders, draw the elbows in, draw the belly button in, and we're going to tuck the toes, come through table, and reach the hips back, coming into prayer or puppy dog pose. Come to the side so you can see this. Reaching fingertips away from you. You could let the forehead come to the floor. You could also, if that's not comfortable, you could stack hands, or you could bring a block or blanket under the forehead. We'll be here for several rounds of breath. Soften through the shoulders. So you can do one of two things for the next, we'll do one more thing before we transition. You could stay where you are if you really are loving that position, or you could let your hips settle all the way back into child. So that the hips are resting more on the heels or in that direction. You could also bring your blanket, use your blanket under your hips. You could also have your bolster. We'll be here for several rounds of breath, so feel free to set yourself up. Bring mine over. If you you bring your bolster over, you'll bring your knees out a little wider. Breathing into the back body. If you can feel the breath all the way down your spine, into your hips, maybe into the pelvic floor. Each exhale softens the belly, softens the front body, melts the shoulders. If your head has been turned in one direction, you might turn it to the other side. And when you're ready, beginning to press the hands into the floor, make your way all the way back up. So before we come into our seated meditation, we'll do one more kind of prep. We'll do a slow windshield wiper, but just want to kind of give you the sense that we'll be beginning to move toward our seat and thinking about, or not taking too much time to think, but just sort of throwing the idea into the pot of what would you like to be doing? Would you like to be doing a seated meditation today or lying down? And we'll kind of go through the different props. So let's start planting the feet on the floor, mat width apart, and the hands can come, maybe fingers are pointing forward or maybe they're out to the side. And we're gonna press into the floor with the feet, press into the floor with the hands, root through the sits bones, draw the elbows, draw the shoulder blades together. Feel really lifted and long through that low back body. And then softening a bit, slowly dropping the knees off to the left or the right. Why don't we do right now near you? Inhale through center, slowly dropping off to the left. So let it be slow and gradual. Notice where the little hitches are, the little rusty places. Take your time. You can pause anywhere along the line if something feels good or if you know it needs a little extra breath. And then we're going to come into a little added movement here. The next time the knees come off to the right, we're going to lift that left arm up and around. Release it back down. Slowly flow through center. Lift the right arm. Reach it around. I'm going to do that a couple more times. Coming through center. If you can follow your arm with your mind's eye. One more time each side. And then come back to center. So from here, deciding whether you want to be seated or lying down. Either way works. Just depends on your energy level or what you want your energy level to be at. If you kind of want to have an experience of waking up a little bit more and being more alert, you feel like you're kind of groggy, a seated meditation might be good for that. If you feel like you've been kind of out and about and up and moving and you want to have a little more restful coming down time, then seated would be great. So lots of different options here, actually. Let's start with just the block on its lowest level. And then you could place a blanket on top of the block. And then from here, you could potentially be on your knees sitting here, so kind of in a hero pose, or you could come into a cross-legged position. Sometimes it's nice to have extra support in this position. If I had one more blanket, I would do this. Oh, I could use my bolster. Yeah, so gather whatever works. You could bolster up the knees. If you've got a bolster and you kind of like the idea of maybe coming into hero, but that other position didn't work, you could do this. Bring your bolster blanket, maybe another blanket to kind of hike you up a little bit more. I love this one for seated because it's a great break from being in the cross-legged position, and it does something different for your hips. And I feel it's an easy way to feel planted and lifted. So I think I'll stay right here. If you're coming down onto the floor, go ahead, lie down. So whatever position you're choosing today, go ahead and close the eyes or hold a soft gaze. We're going to start with awareness of the breath. So bringing attention to the breath. Maybe feeling it in the belly, in the chest, or maybe in the nostrils. Or maybe you have a kind of a general sense of expansion and condensing with each breath. As the mind wanders, drawing it back to the breath, just a noticing the friendliness. Remembering that our goal here is not to clear the mind, not to make the mind do something special, but we're just noticing. Allowing things to be as they are. And if there is a goal beyond that, it maybe is strengthening our ability to be here with things as they are, without moving away, without pushing things down, without collapsing into sleep or running away with our thoughts or feelings. If the mind is very busy, you might kind of label the in-breath and the out-breath, breathing in, breathing out. Or you might count the breaths, 1 to 10, and starting again. Remembering that as you notice, the mind has moved off the breath. But each time you notice that gets to be a little celebration. Oh, I'm strengthening my ability to come back and stay. Again, if the mind has wandered, drawing it back to the breath, noticing sensation in the body, noticing any reaction you have to moving away from the breath, and just a gentle touch to draw it back, releasing any judgment. Now, just letting that kind of any effort around the breath, around the awareness kind of drop for a moment. Just feel into this moment. Notice what you notice. Feel into the body. Feel into the heart, that visceral core. Notice what you're feeling emotionally. Notice the mind. Just get a little kind of flashing into this one who is noticing. And then whatever you notice is your experience right now. Maybe it's pleasant, maybe not so much, maybe there's something that's kind of bothering you physically, emotionally, mentally. Whatever is your experience, whatever you're noticing, can you kind of move from that sense into your heart, of your energetic heart center, touching in on this place where we get to have heart for ourselves in whatever experience we're in. So imagining that your heart filled with light, filled with a sense of warmth, openness, generosity, caring. Imagine that openness, that energy, that light surrounding your experience, whatever it might be, whatever you've touched in on this afternoon. The heart wrapping around, holding you in this experience. Knowing that anytime you go about your day, anytime you might be having an argument with someone or struggling with some relationship or with a financial situation or whatever it might be, you just kind of the feeling waterlogged with the state of things in the world today. Just knowing that this resource of heart energy that is grounded in this this planet, this universe that we live in, this place. You are grounded in this place. That it's available anytime. And it doesn't, there's no requirement to be any certain way or to have your experience. Nothing is rejected. Everything is allowed in this heart. So beginning to deepen the breath. Let the inhale and the exhale begin to kind of expand the body, condense the body, and feel that movement. Let that turn into maybe wiggling fingers and toes, finding some movement in the body again that just naturally comes out of the breath. And if you'd like, you could bring a hand to the heart or a hand to the belly. You could bring your hands into Anjali Mudra, whatever position would feel restful and kind of feeling into you. I'll read this poem by David White called Sometimes. Sometimes if you move carefully through the forest, breathing like the old ones in the old stories who could cross a shimmering bed of leaves without a sound, you come to a place whose only task is to trouble you with tiny but frightening requests, conceived out of nowhere, but in this place, beginning to lead everywhere. Requests to stop what you are doing right now and to stop what you are becoming while you do it. Questions that can make or unmake a life. Questions that have patiently waited for you. Questions that have no right to go away. Bringing to mind the intention that you set at the beginning of the practice. We'll let that settle into our bones and then rebound out into the world with one cleansing breath. Swallowing to the back of the throat and inhaling through the nose, sighing through the mouth. Namaste. Thank you for practicing today. It's good to be with you. Stop that here.